What is going on, guys? Valkyria here. Today we have this Lionheart CERMIA preview as well as PEIRA's preview alongside the new patch information. I just wanted to quickly assess and analyze, no pun intended, the new information we'll be getting, how good these heroes are, whether or not you should pull for them, and yeah, how they affect the meta. Without further ado, let's just get into it.
Die on the battlefield or conquer the world. It's a 50-50 shot. Are you ready to bet it all on the gamble of a lifetime? A lion never relents. No matter how small its prey.
Okay.
I was born to
Oh,
be a hero.
jeez. Okay, if anything, right? E7 always has their character designs on point, and this is no exception.
사자라 불리는 정복왕, 사자왕 체르미아. 탕진해버린 국고를 채우기 위해 정복 활동을 하다 보니 어느새 대륙 정복이라는 위대한
So far, it's looking very aggressive.
소탈하고 유쾌한 모습으로 신분을 막론하고 누구와도 가깝게 지내는 탓에 평소에는 패권을 장악한 권력자라는 느낌을 받을 수 없지만 전장에서는 누구보다 듬직한
And the facial expression actually pretty on point. I kind of want to see what she has. Oh, wow.
검은 마녀의 전설을 알게 되고 호기심과 정복욕을 가지고 탐사에 나서고 있습니다. 사자왕 체르미아는 광속성.
Let's see. So one thing that's sticking out to me already, Warrior Pisces. Pisces is usually a very defensive star sign, so, and we can already see that, right? That's decently high HP. The one that's very high defense as well. And wait. 30 FRES, okay, 30 FRES, and basically we're starting out with no crit, right? And she has a crit chance imprint, so that already seems pretty different to me. Like the design seems very aggressive. So let's see how this goes.
전사 중에서는 방어력과 효과 저항이 높은 편이며 각인 집중으로 자신의 치명 확률을 보완할 수 있습니다.
So one thing I always like to focus on is when these characters have crit chance imprint, right? Especially on 15 base crit characters, I always think about whether or not I can run a crit chance necklace, right? It could be, especially if their imprint release is good, and in this case, right, it's HP on 2 units, and I tend to like this quite a lot for heroes like SSB, Holiday Euphine, things like that. So this tells me it's gonna be a very defensive hero.
이 스킬 아직 안 끝났어. 첫 전투 시작 시 투지를 40 획득합니다.
Okay, so we start with 40 Fighting Spirit.
반격, 협공에 피격 후 자신의 약화효과를 전부 해제하고 빛이어를 사용합니다.
So out the gate, right, this tells me like this is a hero designed to play against Rem Violet Bellion, and this activates every 2 turns. So in a way, this is almost like Designer Lullaby, just without the CR push, and it has a different activation condition. And the effect is going to be something like a Samsara Prayer Beads on top of 50 Fighting Spirit. So I wonder how that ties into the rest of her kit.
3턴에 한 번만 발생합니다. 스킬 강화 시 2턴에 한 번만 발생합니다. 빛이어는 빛을 발산하여 자신에게 이득하는 방어력 증가, 효과 저항 증가를 발생시키고 투지를 50 획득합니다. 3스킬 이 몸의 승리다. 투지를 80 소모하여 사용할 수 있습니다. 검기를 날려 적 전체를 공격한 후 자신에게 추가 턴이 발생합니다.
Wait, that's pretty interesting. Hold on, let's see the damage real quick.
50% 관통합니다.
Right, reminder here that they're always playing on dev accounts, so the damage might or might not be less than what you should expect, right? So, the number one thing I want to point out here is, first of all, this is Fighting Spirit base, right? And if we look at her starting with 40 and gaining 50 when Shine procs, that puts her at 90, right? And I'm assuming she gains a certain amount when her S1 procs as well. So to me, this seems like every other turn she's going to be able to pop off, at least with like 1 stack of Shine, right? And everything else is kind of contingent on what her S1 is going to bring. In terms of where she's going to be used right now, the only times I'm really seeing a lot of Rem and Violets are against cleave, right? When I cleave or when I play aggro, I tend to see a lot of Rem and Violets. So I want to see if this potentially gives me the ability to play into Rem and Violet drafts when I'm playing aggro or when I'm playing cleave. So right off the bat, I already feel like this hero reminds me a lot of designer Lilibet, with the distinction of being she has a different activation condition. She's better against slightly different things. And instead of, being able to cleanse her team, right, she's a lot more of a selfish hero. So in a lot of contexts, maybe she's going to just be a very sticky DPS hero that's kind of used with cleave units. And I think right now, everything comes down to how well this S3 scales, right? Because she does give herself defense up, and she penetrates defense by 50%. Smilegate doesn't have a really good track record of making defense scaling bruisers to be good. So I'm very doubtful of this damage, but hopefully, once we see the numbers, we'll have a better idea.
발생합니다. 대상의 방어력을 50% 관통합니다. 1스킬과 마찬가지로 자신의 방어력에 비해 피해량이 증가합니다. 1스킬 받아낼 수 있겠어? 검으로 적을 공격하고 자신에게 1턴간.
Okay, so the effect here is she gains speed and 20 fighting spirit, right? Now, if we think about this logically, she drops an S3 after her first initial combo of passive, right? She'll have 10 fighting spirit left over. It costs 80 to use. So she is going to get 20 back off of her immediate extra turn first. And then on top of that, right, she's going to need another 50 fighting spirit, right? Which means, like, if we build her, there's two ways to build her. Either we build her as a counter bruiser, or she's decently fast and she can cycle herself. And I think either way works. The fact that her soul burn is increased damage dealt, pretty insignificant. So she doesn't have that good synergy with mages, which tells me she might be an okay closeout killer against some Rem Violets for cleaves. But most of the time, it looks to me like she's just going to be almost like a hybrid between a Fire Ravi and a designer Lilibet.
속도 증가를 발생시킵니다. 자신의 방어력에 비례해 피해량이 증가합니다. 투지를 20 획득합니다. 소울 10개 사용 시 피해량이 증가합니다.
She hits Green Violet twice in this video. I don't think she has anything that increases her hit chance, but I like the hero enough. The design is spicy, and that might just be why I pull, right? If you guys are looking for, whether reasons to pull or reasons not to pull, I think reasons to pull includes if you really like the hero, if you have a lot of good defensive gear, but overall, I would say she's mostly looking like a trophy wife, unless her scaling's absolutely ridiculous. That being said, let's move on to PEIRA.
May you be punished.
Oh wow. Okay, this design is spicy already.
New rules are built on the blood of the preceding era.
Okay, you guys know I like Briar Witch's Saria. This is just a spicier Briar Witch's Saria in terms of design. Oh my god. I lost.
또래였던 아룬카의 부족에게 구해지며 가까스로 살아남게 됩니다. 아룬카는 새로운 가족이 되어주려 노력하지만
Ice Thief Virgo. Do we have a Virgo thief in the game?
자신의 일족을 멸족시킨 부족 연합에 대한 복수심을 키워나갑니다. 시간이 흘러 가을의 검에 수호자 의식을 치르던 때 한 인간이 사라졌던 일족의
this design, jeez.
잔을 가져오자 복수를 위해 의식을 치르고 힘을 얻게 됩니다. 하지만 아룬카에게 패배하여 북부로 향하고 수인들의 나라인 칸 제국을 세우게 됩니다.
Okay, this design is very cool. The story is nice and all, but I'm just here for the design.
5등급 도적인.
Okay, 128 base speed. That stuck out to me right off the bat. Defense, obviously, definitely a little bit on the low side, and then 18 effectiveness, imprint concentration, 27 effectiveness. Okay. That's pretty scary. This is going to be the second highest base speed in the game behind Ares Thief, right? You guys probably know that as Kayron and Rand's base speed. So this is going to be, up there with the fastest units in the game. I do believe this is going to be as fast as Assassin Sid. Effectiveness imprint as well as 18 base effectiveness means she's going to have if you triple self imprint plus effectiveness, that's going to be 45 effectiveness for free. Is he gonna be a debuffer then? That looks like a support.
각인 집중으로 자신의 효과 적중을 더욱 올릴 수 있습니다. 이 스킬 처형의
Okay.
결단
Attacks on enemy with
소량으로 적 전체를
decreases
공격하여
buff duration by
상황을
1 turn.
소식시킨 후 2턴간 속박
Right? Inflicts restrict and unbuffable.
자신에게 추가 턴이 발생합니다.
Wait, and grants an extra turn?
강화의 스킬.
Wait, that's her S2. That's a Cerise S2 with extra turn. Or that's a Cerise S3 with extra turn. Right? Instead of slow, it's unbuffable. Wait, that's
처형의 칼날
so wild.
2턴간 속박 강화 불가를
And then on top of that, she gets extra turn. What is her S3 then?
발생합니다.
Before I even see it, if her S3 is good, this unit is out of this world. Because her S2 is already Cerise. Oh my god, that's a lot of text.
자신을 제외한 아군 전체에게 2턴간 공격력 증가를 발생시킨 후 자신에게
What?
3턴간 은신, 호의, 보호막을 발생시킵니다. 보호막은 자신의
Stealth?
레벨에 비해
Huh?
발생시킵니다.
Hold on.
자신의 제외한
Increases attack of all. Oh no. Oh boy. So, imagine the way Cerise is played right now in RTA, right? Essentially, Cerise is basically one of the other default Caesarea cleave initiators. This is the same thing, but now she also buffs attack. And then on top of that, she grants stealth, escort, and barrier to herself. Barrier strength increase proportional to caster level. Okay, escort is just a better Aureus. What? Huh?
아군 전체에게 2턴간 공격력 증가를 발생시킨 후
Wait, that's so strong.
3턴간 은신,
Okay, she's built with 19k HP on the dev account.
보호막은 자신의 레벨에 비해
Wait,
호의, 보호막을 발생시킵니다. 보호막
she's 19k HP and it's a like a 30 to 40% barrier. That's at least 6 to 7,000 HP. So no matter how she's built, right? She essentially has 30% more HP to use as Aureus to absorb for her team. Like, this is an absolutely ridiculous cleave initiator. Oh my god. Like, she does everything. She attack buffs, she strips, she restricts unbuffable. Like, this hero does actually everything. That's so wild. What?
은 자신의 레벨에 비해 증가합니다. 호의는 아군 전체가 받는 피해의 30%를 자신이 대신 받습니다. 1스킬, 늑대 발톱. 날카로운 발톱으로 적을 핥혀.
Huh, this is Troublemaker Crozet S1. When casters granted barrier, effect chance increased by 25%. Wait, that's so good. She's an RGB hero that has an ML5 kit. And you can just soul burn with her.
최대 40% 확률로
Wait, she's way too good.
자신
Right? Because this is what? 30%, 5%, 5%, which means it's 40%. If she has a barrier, it's 65%.
보호막 상태라면
And you can soul burn to increase it to 100%, just like Troublemaker Crozet.
소울 10개 사용 시 효과 발생 확률이 100%로 증가합니다.
Oh boy.
페이라의 아티팩트 맹세이잔 도적 전용 아티팩트입니다. 효과 적당히
Oh, wow.
최대 30%
Okay.
증가합니다.
So this is one of those like artifacts that's come out recently, right? A lot of these artifacts are just like it gives a certain amount of stats plus it has some type of unique effect, right? And just like the other ones, this one gives effectiveness and it decreases cooldown when using non-attack skills. I don't think it's super powerful. It could be really good on her. But I might use this or something like RNL. When I see heroes that give himself extra turn, the first thing I think of is I try to use effects that proc on their own turn, right? And RNL's definitely one of those ones that could kind of really snowball a thief's value over time. So that might be something I look into. We'll have to see when the final build comes out, but this is definitely one of those artifacts I would recommend pulling one of, just to make sure if there's a hero that hyper synergizes with it later, you're getting like an absolutely busted build, just like when Guiding Light first came out.
공격이 아닌 스킬 사용 후 스킬 쿨타임 1턴 감소가 발생합니다. 한 전투 중 3번 발동 시 추가로 발동하지 않습니다. 일족의 복수를
3 times per battle. I don't think that's going to be a big problem at all, right? These heroes are usually so much value, you should be able to win before you need to proc it a 4th or 5th time, honestly. Wow, I almost don't know what to say. This is, to me, a must-pull hero, right? I would say if you're considering, right, between this or, and I know Cerise banner is coming up, right? This is definitely a better hero than Cerise, just going by the eye test. I would say if you plan on playing PvP any type of seriously at all, this is almost a must-pull. And her artifact is nice to have one of, right? And if you're a very casual player, I mean, what can I say? This design is very clean. I'd highly recommend it. Wow. You know, aside from that, right, we still have the update notice to go through. So let's just go over that really quickly. New Guardian Kazran. I feel like it's a little bit late, right? You know, I know they try to do a lot with the Guardian system, but as the game is right now, most of the game revolves around RTA, and the Guardians don't see any action there. But, you know, for the people who really like getting their lore and their immersion, he'll be pretty cool. Right, as far as the new exclusive equipments go. Fire Tenebria gains extra effectiveness. First effect is S1 has a 75% chance to strip before Dark Explosion. So before the sleep procs, right? I think back during season 1 or 2, there was a decently popular style of playing Fire Tenebria as a PvP unit where you use her as a counter debuffer, right? Basically, she held a Ayla Violin. She was there to strip buffs. And she would basically counter enemies, put them to sleep, and just kind of apply a lot of crowd control. That was a pretty fun build, but I think for 2022, that type of playstyle is pretty slow on top of there just being so many high-value cleansers. So I think that's pretty hard to enable. Second effect increases her S3's sleep effect chance by 15%, which I believe puts at 100. That's something that's also kind of hard to run in 2022, right? Crowd control skills are generally considered kind of low value if it does not strip beforehand, since you have the option to just build immunity on heroes, right? So unless there's a really good team comp out there, I don't really see this one being played all that much. And then the third effect is decrease skill cooldown of Nightmare by 1 turn. This is probably the one I'm going to be personally using. I don't use my Fire Tenebria in PvP. She sits in my Grass Expo as a defense breaker, right? Lowering the cooldown of this by 1 means, like, I think every 3 turns she'll get a 2 turns worth of defense break, which means she'll have like 67% defense break uptime, which is pretty nice. I'm at least going to be using her for that. If there's a good PvP build that, you know, somebody unearths that involves one of these EEs, I might try it out. And as far as Melissa goes, 6 to 12 critical hit chance. That's always really good. It's very encouraging to see that type of stuff. Usually when you look at when a hero gains attack or effectiveness, right? That's 14 to 16 gear score on the highest rolled exclusive equipment. A 12% crit chance means you're gaining 20 gear score, right? Same as 10 speed. Those are generally the best in class of just being able to get stats. In terms of effects, right? Let's see, this is S1 Might. Absorb some of the damage dealt as HP when using Might. So this just kind of turns her into a vampire, like an actual vampire. I think it's cool in terms of flavor, but Melissa isn't really using her S1 all that much in PvP. Let's see, Manifestation. Damage dealt increased by 10%. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. It just gives her slightly better burst potential, lowers the gear requirement of the build, right? These are usually not like the most popular ones, but they could enable some stuff. As far as the third effect goes, when an enemy is defeated, increase attack of all allies suffer caster by 1 turn. This to me has probably the most usage. It probably opens up your own team comp a little bit better. I talked to a few Melissa mains who use her a decent amount. What they've told me is they make where she's good slightly better, but they don't make her better in more situations, right? And I think as far as the third effect goes, it kind of opened up your team options in terms of like what type of enabler you can pair with a Melissa, right? And in this case, right, you can just use her as a soft attack buffer, which is okay. Great Chieftain Kawana. I don't have super high hopes for her, but you know, she's already gaining a bit of attack, so that's good. Vertical Cut, S1. Damage dealt increased by 10% when using Vertical Cut. Very straightforward. I use her in my KD's 13 farm. So for me, at the offset, I'm probably gonna at least use this one. And then, let's see. As far as her second effect goes, when an ally is attacked by dual attack, increased combat readiness of the caster by 15% can only be activated once per skill. This one doesn't really feel like much, right? It makes her a little bit more consistent. I do believe it also improves her C13 a little bit better. So that could be an option for people who are looking to, you know, run her as a DPS unit and as a control unit in KD's 13. As far as PvP, her kit lacks quite a bit, so I don't think it adds enough to her, right? And I think this goes the same for her S3. When you increase a barrier, which is already pretty thin, by 20%, it's really not that much. In terms of Cerise and Guiding Light, even though Cerise feels like she's being power crept as a unit, I think she's still worth a pull, especially if you don't already have a Guiding Light or a spare Guiding Light. Guiding Light, I think, is an extremely powerful artifact. Even though there are things that strip buffs turn 1, and there are effects like Millims now, right, that can, you know, dispel stealth, right? I think Guiding Light still goes very far in enabling a lot of drafts and lets you fit in units where they're not supposed to be played, right? In my own example, I play a Guiding Light Briar Witch Cesaria, right? Sometimes she just procs stealth and she can sit behind a tanky unit like a ML Coeric or a APOC Ravi, and she can basically act as a pseudo Spectre Tenebria, right? And I think you can gain a lot of power that way, and it's one of those artifacts that I recommend pulling one off, and even if you don't pull it, right, powder it with 240 powder, right? And just guarantee yourself one. As far as Charles's, that's going to be a little bit rough. Green Charles has not seen play in a long time. I think ML Charles is somewhat good in this meta, depending on how you draft. So if you need imprints, there you go. Justice for All was really only used back when Falconer Clury was a major meta threat, and now she's kind of moved out because of ML Lilius, right? Justice for All hasn't really been seeing play, so I don't really recommend people pulling here unless you just really like Charles. Moving on, I do believe they are making expeditions a little bit more accessible for everybody. What it is that once you've hit, you know, these point thresholds in a single entry ever, you're eligible to be recruited by open recruitment, right? So this kind of helps out in a way where if you don't have a friend list full of whales, right, now you no longer have to worry about, oh, where am I going to get my posters from, right? Because, or if you have a small friends list, where am I going to get people, right? You can just open recruitment, right? And people who qualify for at least a minimal amount of damage will be able to hop in and help you, right? This is a great quality of life thing. And lastly, as far as I know, Green Vildred, Sid, and Windrider kind of had a keyword clarification, and they had some bug fixes with proc order. I think generally speaking, that's not too much to worry about. But I have seen a few friends lose matches because some of these heroes procced incorrectly and maybe procced a Rimuru when they shouldn't have. So it's just stuff like this is good for the health of the game in the long term. Overall though, guys, I would say Lionheart CERMIA, really not as insane of a hero as I would have liked. PEIRA, however, is pretty crazy, and I would recommend everybody pull for at least one, because that base stat plus that kit, that's just a recipe for a really insane support hero that could fit in almost any type of draft. As far as the EE goes, you know, if you use these heroes in their respective PvE roles, I think they just got a slight upgrade. I think Melissa, if you're a Melissa user, she definitely has a little bit more potential now. And as far as summons go, right? Guiding Light's good, PEIRA's good, Lionheart CERMIA, not so much, and Charles is kind of, this is kind of an afterthought. So with that, guys, that would be the patch preview from me for this patch. If you guys have any additional thoughts, questions, or notice something I missed, feel free to let me know in the comments. And yeah, with that, guys, that'll be it from me for today, and I will see you in the next video. See ya. Hey guys, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to drop me a like and subscribe. It would really help me out. If you want to catch any of these moments live, be sure to follow me at twitch.tv/Valkyria_. Also, catch me hanging out in my Discord, link in description. For now, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.